What's going on, guys? Welcome into episode number 37 of the Ask Tony Show, a very special episode. I'm super excited about my guest today, somebody that personally I admire and respect a ton, and has one of the most incredible physical transformations that I have ever seen. He's a bodybuilder and men's physique competitor, Ricardo Garcia. Thanks so much for being here, my man.
Thanks for inviting me, dude. How you doing?
Good. So, as I mentioned, one of well, actually the reason why I was so excited to bring you on to the show is to talk about fitness, to talk about your physical transformation. But before we jump into that, tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to the audience. What do you do? What are you about? Tell us a little bit.
Well, I currently work at a law firm. That's what I do for a living, and I do bodybuilding as a hobby. Started this sport probably about 2 years ago. Just at one point, I was a heavy kid back in the day, and just wanted to make a change. So I decided to start lifting a few years ago. And that's my passion now. That's what I do on the daily, and that's about it.
Yeah, and just to give the audience a little bit of context, so I've known Ricardo ever since I was a kid, and this dude, I played basketball in high school. I was always a big basketball dude, but this dude is one of the most gifted basketball players that I ever played with, and so the context and I guess we can kind of jump into that as the first topic, being such a high level basketball athlete growing up, and then getting to the point where you gained a lot of weight. What was that like? What was that growing up as an athlete? Tell us a little bit about that athletic background and how eventually you ended up gaining a lot of weight.
It was horrible. I mean, when you go from being fit to gaining 70, 80 pounds, and you're not able to run, it's hard. But I mean, I struggled with weight since I was a kid. I still remember being probably 12 years old. I was a big kid. I was still a good basketball player, but I was that chubby kid that can kind of move around. But I was a little bit slower. My uncle would make fun of me. He would make little comments. He would call me fatty, little things like those. And I think that's what got into my head. Decided to lose weight when I was 12 years old. I want to say maybe I lost about 20 pounds. So I got skinny. Being 12 years old, losing 20 pounds, it's a lot. Got skinny, became more athletic. I felt like I became a better basketball player. And then at that point, that's when I kind of got recruited to Mountain View High School. I was skinny throughout high school. I was fit. I was in sports, throughout my whole high school career. But just like it happens to everyone, once you graduate, you get married or you get into a relationship and you get comfortable. You stop going to the gym, you stop cooking your food, you start eating out a lot. And that's what happened. I met my son's mother, and I think I gained so after high school, I was about 155, 160, and I think I went all the way to 210 back then. So yeah, I mean, it messes with your head a lot. Like I said, going from being fit, being comfortable in your own skin, to once you gain that much weight, you're uncomfortable. Even when you have your clothes on, you feel that you don't look good in them. So I mean, it messes with you a lot, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, knowing you ever since you were a kid, I saw that kind of swing from one end to the other. So what was the heaviest that you ever got?
I got to 269.8 to 270.
Basically 270. Yeah, and actually, for a time, and a lot of the audience members might not know this, but I did Beachbody, so I was like a Beachbody coach, and I was selling like Insanity and P90X, and I remember one day you sent me a text message to jump on Insanity, and that was kind of, I guess, the first time that you were kind of, and I remember the text message, and you were just saying, I'm sick of feeling this way. I want to do something different. So talk a little bit about that moment. Like what was it that kind of triggered it to say, you know what, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to look like this, and I have to do something different.
I remember I went to play basketball with a few of her friends, with Elias and Ari back then, and I mean it was a 5-on-5 game, full court. I think the game was 2-11, and I think the score was like 4-5 maybe, and I was dying. Like I was literally felt like my heart was gonna like pop out. The game ended, and I played one game, and that was it. And I sat down, and the next day I woke up. I don't think I've ever been that sore. So that was the first thing that kind of woke me up. I'm like, I can't keep doing this, right? Then the second thing was I was helping you coach high school. So seeing these kids made me kind of want to get back into shape, because I'm like, how are they going to see me as a coach when, I'm a chubby guy walking around? I don't want to be that coach, because I've seen those coaches, and I don't want to be that coach. Yeah. So that was my second motivation. And my third motivation was my kids got into playing basketball. So I didn't want to be that fat or chubby parent that can't even play with their kids. So that was another thing that kind of woke me up, and basically, I mean, what I told my wife and what I told my whole family back then was, I just want to live longer. That's it. I mean, I still enjoy food. I mean, I still have what I like, but I knew I needed to make a change to be able to live longer, just to enjoy them, and for them to enjoy me having me here.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that you touched on two key points. For anybody out there that maybe is struggling with weight, maybe you've tried it before and then you haven't been able to get there, you've quit, especially now in January, there's a lot of, resolutioners. We set our New Year's goals, and then we start and then we fall off. I think that you hit on two critical things. Number one, you have to get to a point where you're kind of sick of feeling this way. You're sick of looking this way, of not being healthy. I think that's number one. And number two is, like you mentioned with your son. I mean, you have to have something bigger that kind of motivates you to stay in it, because it's so hard to actually do what you have to do. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But I think that if you have those two elements, you get to a point where you're not going to accept yourself in that condition, number one. And then number two, find something that you can really anchor yourself to actually get it done. So I love that. So you get started. You start. I think that you did Insanity. Well, you started going to the gym. I remember at that time I was also kind of starting, and I was going to Planet Fitness with my wife. And then I remember one day you walked in with like your gloves and like wraps everywhere, and you kind of got started. So talk to us about the early stages. How was it that you started to create the habit? What things did you start to change, and what were some of those challenges early on in your fitness career?
So, to go back a little bit to what you asked me first, when I first asked about Insanity, I was too shy to go to the gym. I never lifted weights before. I had weight training in high school, but I was always the kid that never lifted a weight. I was just on the side on my phone, so I was never used to working out. So when I asked you about it, I had seen people do it, and I saw how much they were sweating. So I'm like, this is gonna work. I mean, I knew how it worked. I knew how you could lose weight. So I started with that, and I did that. I finished the whole program, but then after that, I just stuck with eating healthy throughout the week only, Monday through Friday. I was playing basketball Monday through Friday after work for 2-3 hours, so it was strictly cardio. So I did that for about a year. In the first year, I went from 270 to 167, I think. So I lost over
how
100
long?
pounds in a year, just
Holy shit. Okay.
in about a year. So yeah, I went from, like I said, 270 to about 167. So, but once I lost all that weight, I became skinny fat. So I looked skinny with clothes on, but once I took off my shirt, I had that belly that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed to go to the gym. So I didn't know what I was doing. So I decided to hire an online coach. And I know we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but that's the very first time that I ever went to the gym. It was after a year of dieting and after a year of strictly cardio that I stepped a foot into a gym, and it was a fun experience that first day.
Yeah, for sure. But you touched on something key. At first, if you're not comfortable going to the gym, like that's okay. If we're talking about just getting started, trying to lose some weight, I mean, losing 100 pounds in a year is crazy. Like that is extraordinary. And so hearing that all you did was play basketball, which a game that you love, it was fun, and eating clean Monday through Friday, and that was enough to get you to lose the weight, I think that is super interesting, because in many cases people feel like they need to get all these supplements and they have to spend hours in the gym and they have to starve themselves. But the fact that you were able to do it doing something you enjoyed, and also, eating clean during the weekdays, but then maybe, cheating a little bit on the weekends, you were still able to get the results. So I think that is super, super interesting. So you keep doing it, you start to go to the gym, and then what happens next?
Like I said, I decided to hire a coach because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what workouts were for what muscles. Once I hit 167, that's where the scale didn't move anymore. And at that point, I care about the scale a lot because I knew I wasn't gaining any muscle. I was just losing fat. So once I hit to that point, I'm like, okay, I got to do something. And I remember it's just little things that made me do, make these changes. I was taking a shower. I come out of the shower and I turn around and I look at my back in the mirror, and my back just looks, my body just looks weird. Like my shoulders are like tilted, and then I have one fat roll is bigger than the other. And I look funny. Like my body looked funny. So I was just like, I knew in order to get rid of the fat rolls that I didn't like, I knew I had to go to the gym. But I didn't know what workouts were to get rid of that. And that was my goal. That was my goal at the end of the day. Was I just want to get rid of those rolls, and I'll be happy. I don't want to get big. I don't want to have big muscles. I just want to be slim. So I hired an online coach for about 3 months. Give me a meal plan, give me a workout plan. And I think I lost so at that point, I think I gained about 5 pounds on the scale, but my body looked a lot better because I had gained muscle, I had lost fat. So I took a picture of my back again, and my shoulders were a little bit more leveled up. My back rolls were not as big, but I needed something else. I needed a more of a personal coach that I could talk to. So I got rid of my online coach and I jumped into another coach that I found. And I found him. It's a weird way that I found him. I found him on social media through somebody that actually bought my motorcycle. That I used to drive a motorcycle back then. Somebody that bought my motorcycle was friends with this coach that had a crazy transformation, and that's your old coach. He had a crazy transformation. So I'm like, this guy went from fat to actually have a six-pack and to actually be fit. So I clicked on it and I started following him, and I started asking questions, and then I started following his other, I don't know how you want to call it, his other coach, his boss, whatever, his mentor. I started talking to him, and we talked, and we decided to sign up. Me and my wife decided to sign up back then, and we were with them for about a year or so. And yeah, I mean, every coach is different, and you gotta. I feel that you gotta find the right person that fits you. So there's nothing wrong with looking around and stuff. A lot of people feel the rush of hiring the first coach that they talk to.
Yeah.
But you always want to find the one that fits you.
Yeah, no, 100%. So you make the decision to get a coach, and what I find fascinating about this whole thing is it's a constant journey, right? You go from being skinny to being fat, and back to being skinny, and then skinny fat, and so it's this constant journey of constantly working on yourself and trying to find the right resources. And one of the things that when I talk to people who are unmotivated, they say all of those things that you mentioned. I don't know what to do. Now, I've never been to a gym. I don't know what to eat, but they allow that to kind of stop them. And they're like, well, I just don't know, versus your approach, which is, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. What do you think was kind of the motivation behind actually going into something that you didn't know, that you didn't understand, versus some of these other people that allow that to just kind of completely block them and they never even start?
I think personally, I like the challenge. I like to learn. I like to always be better. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be, bodybuilding. It could be learning something new. It could be at a job. I mean, I've done, every single type of job you can think of. I mean, I went from construction to salespeople to salesman to software. So I like to try different things. So I think that for those people that want to start, I think a lot of them they get intimidated walking into a gym, and so did I. But you get intimidated walking into a gym because you see, all these big guys with tank tops and with their muscles out, and a lot of them, they have a face that, they want to kill you if you look at them. But the funny thing is that most of those people are the nicest people when you actually talk to them.
That's true. I've seen that.
I had actually 2 days ago, I had one of my teammates said that somebody approached him at the gym, and that he was asking for some tips. Now my friend looks mean. He has a mustache. He looks very mean, very intimidating, but he's the nicest guy.
Yeah.
So he actually liked that somebody came up to him and was asking for questions, and he felt that the person that came up to him was actually wanting to improve.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they get that idea of, there's a bunch of douchebags at the gym, there's a bunch of meatheads at the gym, and they feel that those that throw their freaking weights on the ground and scream, some of those are annoying, but most of them are nice. Like, most of them, if you ask them a question on how to lift or a tip or something, most of them are going to take out their headphones and they're going to give you an actual tip, something that's going to help you out. And so that's one thing for people that want to get started going to the gym. Yeah. I know that's one of the things that stops them from going, is being intimidated by those people that have been going for years. And like I said, I was one of them, and I started at Planet Fitness because Planet Fitness, it's more of a beginner, a gym for beginners. So I decided to go with that, and eventually I moved to another gym, and now I go to any gym I want, and I don't care. I'm not intimidated. I'm just me. Right. But yeah, like I said, it's just getting that idea in your head that the people that are there, they're not douchebags. If you ask them something, they're gonna be super nice to you, most of them, and they're gonna help you out.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I've actually, for a time, I felt the exact same way, and I learned the same thing. The people that have had success in fitness, they know how hard it is. I mean, they've gone through it themselves. They've just been at it longer than you, but they understand. They had to start somewhere too, and they get it. So I completely agree. So you start with the coaching, you start to get better, and eventually you decide to compete. Which competing is a totally different thing, that is intimidating because when you talk about competing, now you're on stage by yourself, almost naked. I mean, in men's physique, you're wearing shorts, but you're basically up there in very little clothing, being literally judged on what your body looks like. So going from a place where you're 270 pounds, you're looking in the mirror, your body looks all weird, it looks all, you don't like what you see, to then having the confidence to step on a stage where an entire crowd is literally going to be judging how your body looks. That mental jump is extraordinary. So talk a little bit about that. What went into that decision to jump into competition?
I had no idea what I was doing. When I hired my second coach, so I got rid of my first online coach and I hired the one from here. I met with him the first time. We had an intro meeting, and we talked about competing just a little bit, just briefly. That was it. I got into the habit of eating clean 6 days out of the week instead of 5, but I couldn't do 7. So I stuck with 6, and I had a full cheat day. It wasn't a cheat meal; it was a full cheat day. Didn't count my carbs, nothing. Didn't do cardio. It was literally a day where I didn't care what I ate or what I did. So when the time came, I'm like, why not? Like, it's gonna give me a goal. It's gonna give me something to do, because right now I have a lot of things going on in my life, but I'm like, I need something. I need to look forward to something, right? So I'm like, let's jump into the show. I'm like, I'm skinny now. I think I can go with some abs, and I think that's all you needed. Some abs.
Yeah.
Look a little bit cut, and you're good. And that was wrong. So it was a unique experience. Do I recommend it? If you're mentally strong enough, yes. But it's very tough. You do 2 hours of cardio on a daily basis. The amount of food that you eat it's not what you're used to. So you're under eating and you're overtraining and you're doing extra cardio every single day. You're sweating. You're losing a lot of fat. So it becomes very tough. I just decided to do it because I wanted to have a goal for myself, and I wanted to see what I look like. I just wanted to see what I look like with abs. That was my goal. That was it. Never thought about doing it, more than once. I just wanted to do it for the experience. So decided to jump on it. We did a 12-week prep, a 12-week preparation. That's what it's for. That's what it stands for. And on those 12 weeks, your plan is constantly changing. So I have to check every weekend with my coach. Send pictures front, back, check how much I weigh. Gotta tell them, how strict I was with my food, with my training, with my cardio, all of those things. Then I wait for their feedback. So I had to do that once a week. And like I said, every week it would change. And most of the time, as the time went by, my calories started to drop every week. So, I went from, 2,200 to 2,000. By the time of the show, by the week of the show, I was eating about 1,100 calories a day. But I was doing 2 hours of cardio, and I was training for an hour and a half a day. So I was probably burning about, 2,500 calories, 3,000 calories, but I was eating 1,100. Wow. So it messes with your head a lot. I was in a bad mood most of the time. You already know me. Half of the time I'm in a bad mood, but so this didn't help. My patience went from a 10 to a 2. I had no patience. Even with my dog, I feel bad for my dog because she was a puppy, and I just had no patience because I was just so tired all the time. And then one thing that I like to tell people, one of the struggles is, so when you're a bodybuilder, if you want to grow, if you want to improve, you have to sleep. A lot of in order for you to grow, you have to rest. So once you're on prep, once you're under eating, your body fat is super low. It's hard to sleep at night. Very hard.
Really, I would think it'd be
you
the
don't know if you're
opposite.
hot or if you're cold. Not at all, because you start to have you start sweating at night a lot, because you don't know if you need to have a blanket, because you don't know if you're cold or you don't know if you're hot. So if you ask any competitor, that is one of the struggles. You have night sweats all the time, and you wake up and you're all wet, and it's bad. So it's just little things like those that that make prep hard. But I mean, besides that, I think if you're like I said, if you're mentally strong to do it, I don't think it's hard at all. As long as you can follow instructions, you can follow a meal plan, it becomes easy. Now, my first prep was harder than my second one. My second one, I felt that I was better. My first one, I did cheat a lot. I'm not gonna lie. My coach knows it. And again, I was under eating. And when I said I was cheating, I mean I was eating an extra cup of rice, or I was eating, extra chicken.
That's cheating, yeah, because you have to be perfect, basically.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like I was going to eat pizza, but I was just eating more than what my coach told me I could.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to be super strict when it comes to being on prep, because if you're not.
Here's a question that kind of comes to mind. So I've talked to people who have jumped into competing and they quit. They can't get there. I could probably name a dozen dudes that I have, friends of mine that have started and they don't finish. And when I talk to some of these people, they're like, it's so hard that I got to a place where I'm like, I don't need this, right? Like, they look good if you take the general population, they look good. I mean, they're pretty lean. They got some muscle. Maybe they're not, shredded like they have to be for a show, but they don't look bad. I mean, compared to the world, they have good physiques. And so I remember one guy, he said to me, he's like, I realized like I look good. Like I don't have to suffer this much for a shot at a piece of plastic, at a plastic trophy. So he quit and he never did it. So how do you see that? Why did you stay and push through? Because from what you're telling me, like night sweats, I can't sleep. My mood is all crappy. I'm pissed off at the world. Like, why go through that for, what my buddy said, just a shot at a piece of plastic?
You got to do it for the right reasons, and I don't think he was doing it for the right. If that's how he sees it, he's not doing it for the right reason. So, like I said, I did my first show as an experience because I wanted to see what it was like, and I wanted to see what the process was, and I knew the process was to suffer. I know you had to suffer in order to be where I wanted to be. I knew I had to get up early in the morning, earlier than anybody else, so I could do my cardio. But the way that I saw it was, I'm doing things that other people are not willing to do, but I'm going to get to places that they're never going to be able to get. So that was kind of the mentality. So when people tell you, I don't want to do it for a piece of plastic or for a trophy or for a medal, or why if I look good with clothes on, I don't do it to look good. I mean, being shredded feels great. Having abs, 4 months out of the year, for me, feels great. People have abs, throughout the whole year, but, having abs for 4 months out of the year, it's great. But I don't do it for that. I don't do it because, I want to get a bunch of likes on Instagram. I do it because now I have a goal. So I did my first prep and I liked it. I like how mentally strong it made me, that I knew I wanted to keep going. And I liked the changes on my body that I knew I wanted to keep going. So Now my goal is not to just do it for fun. Eventually, I wanna do a national show. Now, to get it to a national show, you have to win a local show. So that's the first goal. Getting that local show out of the way. Get to a national show. Being able to get your pro card. All of those things is things that are on my list now. Back then they weren't, but back then I did it because I wanted to have the full experience, and I'm not a person that likes to quit. I don't like to quit. So if somebody quits throughout the prep, this is no offense to anybody, but they're just not mentally strong to do it. And if you're not mentally strong to do it, then that sport is not for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's people that are good at basketball and they suck at playing soccer. There's people good that are that are good at playing football, but they suck at playing basketball. So if that's not your sport, that's fine. You can stick to going to the gym and staying fit. Have big muscles, but if you can't get shredded how you would like to be, that's fine. That's not you.
Right.
Nobody's gonna judge you. So you have to be doing it for the right reasons. And a lot of coaches don't look into that. A lot of coaches, they sign people and they're like, you want to compete? Great. Let's just have you compete in 6 months. And then they get the next person and, oh, hey, you want to compete? Why not? Let's just have you compete. There's nothing wrong with doing it for the experience, but in order to get to that place, you have to get the lifestyle first. And you and I talked about it before. You have to be able to get the basics first before you jump into the extreme. And a lot of these people that hired a coach, they want to go from never being able to follow a meal plan to wanting to do it to the extreme where you have to follow it 100%, because if you don't, then you're going to look like crap on stage. You don't do that. Right. You want to do it on stages. You want to do it. You want to see if that's what you want to do. Now, there's a lot of people that they like the lifestyle, and that's great. They're not interested in competing. Why? Because they're comfortable where they're at. They have, some of them, they might be big with muscles, but they eat whatever they want on the weekend, and that's what they like. I can't do that. I have to eat my meals every single day, 7 days a week. I get two cheat meals a week. So somebody that has a regular lifestyle, they can get 4 or 5 cheat meals a week if they're fit, and they're not going to get fat. So you got to do it for the right reasons, and that's it. That's what I like to tell people. Don't do it. Don't do it for the gram. Don't do it because you wanna show your friend that you're better than him. Do it because you want to become better, because you might want to do it in the long run. But do it for you. Don't do it for anybody else. That's it. That's the bottom line.
I love that. And so you get on stage, your first show, and you lose. I remember we talked about this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from your team, you were the only one that didn't get a medal. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you go to your first show, you don't win anything from your entire team. You're the only one that doesn't get a medal. What goes through your mind that night after the show? You're sitting, maybe you're taking the shower. It's like your first moment when it hits you. Maybe it was backstage, but walk us through kind of that thought process of you not winning anything, and when did you decide to do it again instead of just quitting and saying, you know what, I guess this isn't for me?
When I lost, I didn't take it to heart. I knew I didn't go through my prep the way that I should have. I know I cheated a lot, like I said. And when I looked at my body compared to, for example, the guy that won the whole show, which is he was one of my teammates with that coach, and now he's a teammate of mine on a bodybuilding club that we have. The guy that took the show, he was triple the size of me. I worked out with him a week before, and I looked at him like, I'm competing against you tonight, like next week. What am I? I look like a child next to him. So,
Yeah.
I didn't go with the mentality of that I was gonna lose, but I went with the mentality of there's gonna be a lot of other people that are gonna look better. But I didn't feel bad because to me, the first show, to me, that was a win. To me, I had never looked that good before. And when I say good, I meant that shredded. Because now that I look at pictures, I don't think that I look good. But I had never been that shredded. So I didn't take it to heart. I took it as a learning experience. And I was supposed to do a show a few weeks after that. I was supposed to do an Idaho show 3 weeks after the Utah show in October. And I decided not to. I'm you know what? I don't want to go spend the money because doing a show is very expensive. So I decided to not go through that.
How much
And
does it cost? Let's talk a little bit about that. How much does it cost to compete? Because I certainly didn't know that, and I think a lot of people in the audience aren't going to know that either.
If you're counting coaching fees, so like if you're counting what your coach charges you on a monthly basis, you're probably looking at, and you're not counting food, you're not counting supplements. Actually, no, let me count the supplements, but I'm not counting food. You're probably spending about, and on a 12-week prep, you probably spend about $2,000 to $2,500 on a show. That includes your coaching, that includes your supplements, that includes your tanning, your registration. You have to register, so you have to get an NPC card in order to be able to compete. So it's kind of like a license for the bodybuilding industry. So you have to pay for that, and you can only get it once a year. So you pay for that, and then you have to register to compete on your classes. And it's, if you want to compete in 3 classes, you have to pay 3 different fees. So it becomes very expensive, like I said, plus your coaching, plus your supplements. If you're a girl, plus, it's more expensive.
Like $100+ shorts?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so shorts are very expensive. Now, girls, their suits, that's just another level. You're talking about $600 to $1,500 on a suit that they're gonna wear for, they're gonna show for 5 minutes on stage. Right. So it's expensive. It's very expensive. So I decided to not do the Idaho show because, like, again, I look very, very small. But I did reevaluate if I wanted to keep doing this. Am I gonna get big enough? I mean, maybe it's just not in me. Maybe I'm never gonna get big like those guys that I see at the gym. Like it's just not realistic. So I sat on it for a while. I still kept going to the gym. I did what they call a reverse dieting. So after the show, you have to be very careful how you eat, because obviously when you stop feeding your foods, when you stop feeding your body certain foods, if you start to feeding them again and you start doing a lot, you're just gonna blow up. So all the progress that you made, you're gonna lose it within a few days, right? So you want to be very careful how you do it. So I did my reverse dieting, which it was wrong, by the way. I felt that I was giving the wrong plan, because I felt that I blew up super bad compared to this year at least. But I did my reverse dieting, which is again about another 8 weeks. So it's kind of like another little prep. But you're a little bit more flexible with your food. You're a little more flexible with the carbs that you can have. So I decided to, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she asked me how I did. And I told her how I placed. I'm like, I placed here in this class, here in this other class. It is what it is. And her response was, don't feel down, don't feel bad. She's like, that's what happened to me last year. She's like, last year I think she told me she finished, I want to say 12th, I think 12th out of 15 people maybe. Her coach was bad, but she finished 12th out of 15, and I believe she came back the next year and she won the whole show. So to me that was like if you did it, then I can do it. If you ended that low on your first show and then you came back the next day to win, I think I can do the same thing too. So that was like an extra motivation that I had, just somebody that kind of went through that, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I was smart about it, and I knew I needed to take some time to gain some size.
Yeah.
Because I knew coming back with the same size as of last year was not gonna be enough.
Yeah.
So I knew taking a whole year off basically was what I needed. So that's what I did. I took a full year off. I didn't compete until October of 2020. I did hire a different coach for that prep, and I think we made big changes compared to the year before. At least on stage, I was in. I mean, I don't know if it was so muscle. I doubt it, because that's a lot. But at least on stage on 2019, I was 167, and in 2020 I was 180 the day of. So I was 13 pounds heavier. I did look, bigger. I felt that at least 2020 I looked more like a bodybuilder. 2019 I just looked like a skinny, shredded guy that doesn't know what he's doing. So I felt that the improvement again from 2019 to 2020 was big, but 2020, again, I didn't win. I didn't place. I think I placed 6 out of 8 in my class. So I guess my body was better than 2 others, I think. So for that one, I was upset. For that one, I was a little bit upset because I felt that I followed everything more properly and better. But to be fair, I had things going on in my life, like in my personal life, a lot of stress, like I said, work related, life related, personal life, work related. So a lot of those things, it does mess with your body when you're making changes. The stress kind of messes you up. So I was upset because I was expecting to place. I was expecting to win. I thought that I made bigger changes, and the day of the show, I felt that my back was great, and I just felt that the front just wasn't there. The front, the abs didn't come out like they did before, and it's not an excuse at all. Obviously I was there. I know my body, but the show was on a Saturday. I sent a picture to my coach on Friday, right after I ate some carbs, and my abs were like insane. And he's like, dude, they look great. And Saturday I could not get them to come out. Like, I just couldn't. I tried different ways and I couldn't. So I was upset, and I was even more upset the next day because, after the show, you usually have your cheat meal. You can kind of eat whatever you want. So you eat a bunch of carbs. So I went and ate, a bunch of cookies, a bunch of donuts. I made myself sick because everything that I ate. But I woke up on Sunday and I took a picture of my abs, and they're like full. You could see them how I wish they would have shown on Saturday. And I was just like,
that's so crazy, though.
What happened?
It's so crazy to me that the body can change so much just within 24 hours or 12 hours or 8 hours. Like, on Friday, the abs were there. Saturday, they're gone. Sunday, they're back again. Like, that to me is insane. The level of detail that you guys have to pay attention to just within a span of hours to make sure that you have the best physique on stage. So I think that's super interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I mean, when my first coach told me, "Oh, you're gonna see changes hourly," the day of the show, I'm like, "You're crazy! You're just feeding me BS."
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, it is really true, and even the day of the show, so you go to the show in the morning for a pre-judging, and then you come back at night for judging. So you have about 4 or 5 hours in between. You don't want to eat whatever you want during that time. You want to be very careful, because when you're coming back at night, they're still going to judge you, and you can still lose. Yeah. So, and that's a mistake that I made last year, because at least in my class, the top 5 get a medal, right? So pre-judging, that's kind of when you know if you're going to get a medal. So first call-outs, which is the first 5, the top 5 that they think they're going to win, they call them, right? I was part of that. So I thought I was gonna place at least fifth on my. I got first call out. It's money now. I got it. I went home and I'm not gonna lie, I ate panda because I didn't think it was gonna make a difference.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's what made me lose, but I ate panda. I ate my fish that I was supposed to eat. Went back for judging, and when they were giving out when it was our time to get on stage again, I wasn't part of I wasn't first call outs anymore.
Damn.
So I got moved. So I'm assuming I was fifth because I was moved from first call outs to a sixth place, which it was the final that I got in my class. So I made a mistake. Again, I didn't know in those 4 hours I had to be very careful. So a lot of people don't know that either. A lot of people think, okay, I got it over with. Now I can go eat it. I'm just going to come back later and pick up my trophy and that's it. You can still lose. You can still get, kicked out of that and go home with nothing, which is what happened to me.
Yeah, that's so crazy, man. But I love the contrast between the two losses, right? The first loss, you just owned it, right? And I think that's a big lesson for everybody listening. Like, if you fail at something, try to analyze it. Think about, what happened? What did I do? How did I contribute? Instead of just getting upset and maybe like blaming somebody else or getting depressed or getting angry, I think that the fact that you were able to say, I just didn't do what I was supposed to do, and just own it and accept it, I think that's very hard to do. And then on the second one, where you felt like you did better, but you still recognize that you made a mistake. And so I think that sense of ownership, of taking responsibility for yourself, is the factor, because it's so easy to blame something, blame your coach, blame someone, blame this, blame that. So I think that mentality of just personal responsibility and understanding where you came up short and then working to fix it, I think is what can really set somebody apart.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, I'm not the type of person that's gonna blame somebody else. Like, I'm not. People try to tell me, "Oh, was it your coach? Is that why you switched coaches?" I'm like, nope, my coach has nothing to do with it. And that's why I told you at the beginning, you have to find the right person, the right coach for you. I have a good relationship with my online coach. He's actually a teammate of mine again on the bodybuilding team that we're on. I have a good relationship with my second coach. I mean, we text, we talk. We've talked about getting a lift here and there. So because I'm not gonna blame him for me losing. I mean, especially when everybody else in that team went home with medals, right? So I think if we're gonna talk about coaching a little bit, I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good person. He knows what he's doing. He has a lot of clients that have been successful. Lifestyle people, athletes. But like I said, I took the blame for both. I mean, the first one, I knew I just didn't do it right. I didn't do it 100%. And on the second one, like I said, it was just the stress. I think more than anything. But yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad about it. Like I said, I felt bad the day of, but again, it just kind of throws more fuel to the fire. I mean, that's how I see it. Is I'll come back next year and we'll see, and if not, we'll come back the next year and we'll see. I mean, there's people that it takes them 7 shows before they can win an overall.
Yeah.
I wanted to win it on my second one, right? But it wasn't realistic, I guess. But I have a friend that has competed 3 times and he's taken the overall all 3 times. He's a pro already, so it took him 3 shows to become a pro.
Yeah. That's another
again,
critical thing that I wanted to get your take on here to just kind of wrap up. But it seems to me that obviously fitness is very unique, because it's not like, for example, going to school or finances, where you can be doing well and nobody knows it, or you can maybe not be doing so well and it's not so obvious. But with fitness, it's out there. Like, people can see it. And so I think that people really fall into comparing themselves with others. So going based on what you said, for one person, it can take 7 or 8 shows, 7 or 8 preps, and a much longer time frame to actually reach their goal. When with someone else, it could seem like it's easy. It could seem like, okay, 1, 2, 3 shows, you're a pro, and that's it. So how do you avoid comparing yourself to the people around you when you're still, trying to build?
It's hard not to. I mean, I'm not gonna lie and tell you that it's easy. It's hard not to, especially when you're in this sport, because you're being judged by how you look like.
Yeah.
You're being judged standing next to somebody that doesn't have a shirt on just like you. So it's hard to not compare yourself when, in reality, this sport is about comparing.
That's what it's about.
It's really hard, but I think the way that I see it in my head is I just always want to be better than the show before. That's how I see it. Now, it doesn't mean that if I lose, I'm content with it or that I'm happy with it. Not at all. I just see it as, if my physique improved from the year before, that's a win. If I can get a trophy, if I take a medal, that's an extra win, right? So I take 2 wins home that day. If I lose, I'm going to be upset most likely. I mean, I don't like to lose. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't like to lose a pickup game at a rec center. So that's just me. So it's honestly understanding and getting the idea in your head. And that's why I say you have to be mentally strong, is just getting the idea in your head of, you got to do it for the right reasons, and you always want to see it as, you want to improve from your last show. That's your first win. Now you take something home, you take a medal home, you take a trophy home, then that's a second win. Yeah. But if you can't get that second part, there's nothing wrong with that. You just kind of have to own it and, get up and move on and try to be better. But, don't blame your coach. Don't blame other people. Don't blame your husband because he didn't wake you up to do your cardio, or don't blame your wife because she didn't make your meals. Like, no, you have to own it.
Yeah. And I love that. And for a time, I didn't understand that part. And I remember on one occasion I put out a tweet, and the tweet said, "I think it's funny that bodybuilding is the only sport that celebrates losses." And I posted it, and I got a bunch of DMs from like fitness people, and they're like, "No, you don't get it, dude." And I had a conversation with Matt Moore about it later. And I asked him about it. I'm like, "Dude, why do you like all these people? It seems like bodybuilding is the only sport. No other sport do I see people celebrating their losses." And he's like, "No, it's because it's not about the win." And it goes back to exactly what you said. I mean, just getting there is the win. And then, if you can take a medal home, great. But that's like extra. That's like the cherry on top. And so for a long time, I didn't understand that. And I thought it was stupid that bodybuilders celebrated losses. And so he explained it to me. I'm like, okay, now it makes sense. And so I think that the message that can be taken from that is it's all about you. It's you versus you. And sure, there are going to be people around you. And I think that that's something that can be applied to whatever it is that anybody does, at your job, anywhere. There are always going to be other people involved. But at the end of the day, it's you versus you. It's how good can you be? How can you improve in taking that personal responsibility to make it happen? And then everything else, all of the accolades or all of the wins, trophies, awards, whatever you end up getting is just kind of the icing on the cake from all the work that you have put in. So let's wrap up, Ricardo, with your top 3 tips for somebody that is brand new. Maybe they're at 270 pounds and they would eventually love to be where you're at, or they would love to get in shape. What are your top 3 tips, top 3 takeaways for people that want to get started?
First of all, I mean, you just gotta do the easy things. Don't try to go 0 to 100. Don't try to be, and I'm gonna say, don't try to be like me. Okay, my wife would tell me all the time, how can you go from 0 to 100? How can you go from eating out every day to start meal prepping on a Tuesday, and now you're been meal prepping for the last 3-4 years? don't do that. Start small. Start making small changes. Stop eating, and like one of the first thing is watch what you eat. Okay, see if you can replace it with something a little bit healthier. Instead of having a regular Coke, try to have a Coke Zero. I have Coke Zero all the time. Okay, and I have muscles. I have a six-pack. It doesn't matter. You just gotta watch what you eat. Exactly. See, no sugar. I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol. That's one thing. So just watch what you eat. Try to replace, the things that you eat on a daily basis, maybe with healthier things. Maybe instead of eating regular bread, maybe eat, healthier bread, with less carbs. Try to drink more water. That's one thing that people don't really realize. If you drink a gallon of water a day, is gonna make a big difference when it comes to your health, and it's gonna make a big difference when it comes to you losing weight. And go on walks. If it's somebody that is struggling with getting started, if it's somebody that's on the edge of, should I do it? Should I not? I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to, go ham on this. Like I said, go on walks every night. Get a mile, 2 mile walk a night. Drink a gallon of water every day. Stop drinking soda and start drinking Coke Zero. Stop eating as much bread. Once you watch those little things, without you even noticing, you're gonna start dropping weight a lot. I have a friend of mine he's currently working out with us. He's a bigger guy. He's not on a diet 100%, but he told me, I'm watching what I'm eating. I'm not eating that much bread. I'm not drinking any soda. I'm just drinking water. And from the beginning of the year until now, which is 17 days, he said he's lost 13 pounds.
Wow.
And he's not going ham at the gym. He's not, lifting, 3 plates on each side when he's doing bench. It's just the small little things. If you're one of those people that want to jump into getting into a gym, like I said, first thing, don't be intimidated by the people that look big. Like I said, most of them are teddy bears in the inside. They're not a-holes like they seem to be. Yeah. Another tip, if you don't want to go to a big gym, find a small one. And I'm gonna say, Planet Fitness is a great gym to start. That's where I started. A lot of people that are starting to get to, that's where they go, because to be honest, you don't get judged, and you can feel it, because it's a lot of people that, it's not a bunch of bodybuilders. It's a bunch of older people that are not really fit. So you kind of you feel more comfortable, and I feel a lot more comfortable when I started there. So if that's something that they want to jump into, don't go to a big gym. Find a small one. A lot of people they have a gym at their homes, at their provided by their HOA. If you want to go there, you can start. That's a lot of times I did that. I didn't go to a gym, and I lived at a complex, and I had they had dumbbells, and I made it work. You get a little sweat, you get a little cardio, and it helps. It helps along the way. Like I said, don't try to, and that's another thing for them to know. Don't try to lose 50, 60 pounds in your first month. Okay, be realistic. It's not a race. Everybody says it's not a race. Okay, it's a marathon. You've messed up your body for 20, in my case 25, 30 years. Don't expect to fix it on a 12-week plan, because it's not going to happen. It's going to take time. It's going to take months. It might take years. So be patient with the process. That's it.
I love that, dude. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show. One of the things that I ask all of my guests is, if somebody in the audience, if somebody that is listening to this has a question about anything that we talked about today, feel free to reach out to this dude on DM. So where can people find you?
Instagram. I have Facebook, but I don't use it much. When I do use it, but it's more family more than anything. But I have my Instagram. It's Cardo_12. And like I said, if they have any questions, they have any questions, they can reach out. I know A lot of people, they get intimidated by what I look like. By sometimes I was told the other day that my voice sounds like a mean person's voice. So don't get fooled by that. Don't get fooled by that. Feel free to reach out. Any questions? Now, I'm not a trainer. I don't do meal plans. But if you need a tip, if you need advice, I can help you with that. But if you need a meal plan, if you need coaching, I will send you to the right place to find one. But anything else, feel free to reach out. Like I said, Instagram Cardo_12. I'll be available for whenever they need.
Awesome, brother. Well, we'll wrap this up, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode number 37 of the Ask Tony Show. This will be on the podcast and video version as well on YouTube, Facebook. So I hope you guys can check it out. I'll put Ricardo's links in the show notes so you guys can reach out to him, find him on Instagram, follow him, check out his stories. Awesome dude. So with that being said, till next time.